2024 board meeting. This meeting is taking place at the Department of Consumer Affairs hearing room located at 1625 North Market Boulevard, room 102, Sacramento, California. My name is Carol Mountain, and I'm the board president, and I would like to call this meeting to order at, I think it's 9:01. First, some housekeeping information on how this meeting will be conducted. This meeting is being held in person. If we need a motion, I will call for a motion, a second, and open for public comment prior to taking a roll call vote for each motion. We will take public comment on each agenda item. Members of the public who request to speak will have up to 3 minutes to speak, and you will be notified when you have 30 seconds remaining. Your name is not necessary, but please indicate how you would like us to identify you. For the sake of efficiency, the executive officer may respond directly to public comment or defer to the appropriate staff person or counsel as appropriate. For any questions directed to board members, I will either answer the question or direct it to board members as appropriate. We will now do an alphabetical roll call to establish quorum. Board members, when your name is called, please introduce yourself and identify your board member role. Taisha Brown.
Present.
Alita Carpenter.
Yes, I'm present and I'm a public member.
Thank you. Mr. John Durking.
Present, public member.
Gloria Guzman.
Present, board member.
Abraham Hill.
Present, Psychiatric license.
Mr. Maxey is not present, and Leslie Moore.
Present.
Thank you. Ms. Neblas is not with us. Rashima Sansan.
Excuse me, present, public member.
Thank you. And I'm Carol Mountain. I'm the education member. Based on the roll call, we have a quorum. Would you now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Mr. Hill.
I pledge allegiance.
United States of America. Stands.
Thank you. We will now turn it over to introduction of the board staff, Ms. Yamaguchi.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no. Hang on.
We have a towel?
Yeah. A couple of paper towels.
Nothing like starting the day off well. That was refreshing. My apologies. Good morning, everybody. Elaine Yamaguchi, Executive Officer, slightly dampened for the moment. With us today is, and our staff, terrific, thank you, is, of course, our AEO, Mark Ito, our Enforcement Chief, Antoinette Wood, our Discipline Manager, Jay Prouty, our Analyst in Enforcement, Alex Clark. From Licensing, we have our Manager, Shelley Brown, and our supervisors, Michael Hall and Gabriella Arreola. Mighty Department of Education. Dr. Judith McLeod, Mary Bridget Barrett, Roberta Thompson, Cindy Fairchild, Nicholas Gonzalez, Thierry Randolph, and I think Geraldine Marcino? No. And certainly not least, our mighty analyst, Rebecca Ball. I believe that is everyone. If I missed anybody, I do need to have my eyes checked, I'm sure. So thank you very much.
Legal counsel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Kenneth Swenson, Senior Staff Counsel, Attorney 3, General Counsel for the Board.
Thank you. I believe we're ready to move on to agenda item 4, board officer election, and I will turn it over to Mr. Swenson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Your packet contains a memorandum describing the usual and customary procedure for the elections. So now is the time and place for the annual election of officers. We'll begin by taking nominations for the office of president. Do we have any nominations for the office of
I would
president?
nominate Dr. Carol Mountain for board president for the ensuing board year until the next election.
And I would second that.
So, Mr. Deerking has nominated Dr. Mountain. Ms. Carpenter seconded it to denote concurrence. A second isn't required, but it is, it can be recorded in the minutes. Dr. Mountain, do you accept the nomination?
I do accept the nomination.
Any further nominations for the office of president? Any further nominations for the office of president? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote. The presumed motion to elect is not debatable, so we don't need to take public comment. So please cast your vote by identifying who you're casting your vote for, even though there's just one nominee. And then if you just say yes, I'll presume that you're referring to Dr. Mountain. Thank you. Ms. Brown?
She stepped up.
Okay. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes, and for Carol Mountain.
You. Ms. Guzman?
Yes, for Carol Mountain.
Mr. Hill?
Yes, for Miss Carol Mountain.
And Mr. Maxey's not present just yet. Ms. Moore?
Yes.
So Ms. Moore casts her vote for Dr. Mountain. Ms. Sonson? Thank you. Mr. Deerking
Yes, Dr. Mountain.
and Dr. Mountain.
Yes. Could abstain.
Thank you. So the unanimous vote is for Dr. Mountain. Congratulations, Dr. Mountain. You are elected board president for the next year.
Thank you.
Turning now to the office of vice president. Do we have any nominations for the office of vice president?
I'd like to see our dream team stay in effect. I'd like to nominate Mr. Deerking.
Ms. Carpenter nominates Mr. Deerking.
I would
Mr.
second that.
Okay, and Dr. Mountain seconds that. Mr. Deerking, do you accept the nomination? Thank you. Are there any nominations for the office of vice president? Any further nominations? Any further nominations for the office of vice president? Any further nominations? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a roll call vote alphabetically. Please cast your vote by identifying the candidate you're voting for, even though there's just one candidate. Excuse me. Ms. Brown's not here, so we'll do Ms. Carpenter,
Yes, for John Deerking.
Ms. Guzman,
Yes, for John Deerking.
Mr. Hill,
Yes, for John Deerking.
and Mr. Maxey's not here. So Ms. Moore,
Yes, for John Deerking.
Ms. Sunson,
Yes, for Mr. Deerking.
Dr. Mountain,
Yes, for Mr. Deerking.
and Mr. Deerking.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So the vote is unanimous. Mr. Deerking has been reelected for the office of vice president for the ensuing year. Congratulations. That concludes the elections for this year. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Mr. Swenson. We will now move on to agenda item 5A, acceptance of the minutes from November 17, 2023 board meeting. We have minutes from our board meeting from November 17, 2023 to approve. These are included in your packets and also posted online. The links to the YouTube video of each board meeting are printed in this agenda. Can I have a motion to approve and a second for the November 17, 2023 minutes? Ms. Moore moved.
I second.
Ms. Carpenter seconded. Any board discussion or questions? Any public comment? Seeing none, I will do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains.
I apologize. This is the moderator. Board President, would you like to take public comment on WebEx as well?
Yes, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I just have to do a script, so I was waiting for a prompt. This is the moderator, and at the direction of the board, I have opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public on WebEx, if you would like to make a comment on this item, please click either the raise hand icon or the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen. Audio-only participants may raise their hand by pressing *3 on their device. I'll pause a moment to allow the public time to access these features and submit their requests. All right, and seeing none, would you like me to close that Q&A feature?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
All right, I will now do a roll call, establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Is Ms. Brown back? Ms. Carpenter,
Yes.
Mr. Durking,
Yes.
Ms. Guzman,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Ms. Sanson,
Yes.
and I am also a yes. So that is the motion to approve the November 17, 2023 minutes is carried unanimously. Agenda item 5B, acceptance of the minutes from the December 7, 2023 board meeting. We have minutes from our board meeting on December 7, 2023 to approve. These are included in your packets and posted online. Can I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Thank you. And a second? Thank you. Any board discussion or questions? Any public comment and also comment virtually?
This is the moderator. At the direction of the board, I've opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment on this item, please click the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen or use the raise hand function. And audio-only participants may raise their hand by pressing *3 on their device. All right, and it appears there are no requests for public comment. Would you like me to close that Q&A panel?
Yes, please. Seeing no comments, I will do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Brown, not back yet. Ms. Carpenter,
Yes.
Mr. Durking,
Yes.
Ms. Guzman,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Ms. Sanson,
Yes.
and I'm Carol Mountain, and I also vote yes. The motion to approve the December 7, 2023 minutes is carried unanimously. Agenda item 5C, acceptance of the minutes from the December 28, 2023 board meeting. We have minutes from our board meeting on December 28, 2023 to approve. These are included in your packet and posted online. Can I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any board discussion or questions? Any public comment here or virtually?
This is the moderator, and at the direction of the board, I have opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment on this item, please click the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen or use the raise hand function. And audio-only participants may raise their hand by pressing *3 on their device. I'll pause a moment to allow the public time to access these features and submit their requests. All right, and seeing none, would you like me to close that Q&A feature?
I would, thank you. So with the no comments, I will do a roll call and establish who is in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter,
Yes.
Mr. Durking,
Yes.
Ms. Guzman, Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Ms. Moore, Ms. Sanson,
Yes.
and I'm Carol Mountain. The motion, and I say yes, the motion to approve the December 28, 2023 minutes is carried by a vote of 7. Agenda item 6 is our board update from DCA. Melissa Gear, Deputy Director, Board and Bureau Relations.
Hello and good morning, President Dr. Mountain, Vice President Durking, Executive Officer Yamaguchi, and members of the board. I'm Melissa Gear, Deputy Director for Board and Bureau Relations, and I appreciate the opportunity to share the Department of Consumer Affairs update this morning. First, the Business Consumer Services and Housing Agency will welcome a new secretary this month. Tamika Moss was appointed by Governor Newsom and will officially begin serving as secretary on February 12th. We extend a warm welcome to Secretary Moss and look forward to working under her leadership. Next, in December, the Department of Finance issued a budget letter that directs all agencies and departments under the governor to take immediate action to reduce current year expenditures. Given the fiscal outlook, the state of California anticipates a significant general fund budget deficit in fiscal years 2023-24 and 2024-25, which will require all state entities to take immediate measures to ensure more prudent spending. Except for time-sensitive, emergency-related, mission-critical, or information security needs, immediate actions include the cancellation of all non-essential travel, such as participation in seminars, conferences, and training, both in-state and out-of-state. Boards should immediately review all spending and determine where savings can be realized. Specifically, when planning meetings, it is important boards conduct a cost analysis to determine the most economical option for the state. Please remember that when traveling, you need to consider all forms of transportation and hotel accommodations to determine the most economical option for the state. DCA has issued further guidance to leadership about exemption requests for purchases, contracts, and travel. DCA appreciates your partnership as we work together to reduce costs. If you have any questions, please contact Board and Bureau Relations. Also, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, also referred to as DEI Steering Committee, held its quarterly meeting on December 15th, 2023. The committee reviewed a draft DEI intranet webpage for employees, re-elected its chairperson and vice chairperson for 2024, and discussed DEI trainings. After approval at the meeting, the committee announced the launch of the DEI intranet page to department staff. This page provides a centralized location with DEI-related tools and information and real-time updates on the department's DEI activities for all employees. Providing DEI training opportunities continues to be a priority for the department and the DEI Steering Committee. DCA is pleased to offer board members a DEI training on how leaders navigate DEI dialogue in the workplace. The training is recorded and can be taken online at your convenience via DCA's Learning Management System, or LMS. The online training is provided by Christopher Veal, who has 25 years of corporate experience providing coaching, training, and leadership development. The training provides tools for effective conversations, psychological safety, and how it impacts those conversations, and includes discussion around challenges leaders are facing. If you have any questions about this training, please contact DCA's Board and Bureau Relations. The DEI Steering Committee would like to continue to learn about and showcase the DEI activities of DCA's boards and bureaus. If your board has DEI efforts and achievements to share, please send them to DCA Board and Bureau Relations. DCA continues to support DCA boards and bureaus in expanding culturally competent communications and promoting the importance of meeting the needs of all California consumers, licensees, and applicants. The latest issue of DCA's Consumer Connection magazine includes articles with information important to consumers, including a feature cover story translated into 3 languages, Tagalog, Swahili, and Spanish, to further the reach of this information. The magazine is available on the DCA homepage. Printed copies of the magazine are also available. Please contact Board and Bureau Relations for more information. Likewise, DCA held an active threat assessment training for board and bureau leadership teams on February 2nd. California Highway Patrol Officer Byron Wong provided the training where participants learned about steps that can be taken in the event of an active threat. DCA plans to explore providing this type of training to all board members and staff in the future. Moreover, on February 2nd, DCA provided guidance on the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act amendments to the teleconference meeting requirements, which took effect on January 1st, 2024, to DCA board and bureau leadership. The guidance provides a general overview of the traditional in-person and teleconference meeting requirements and a detailed discussion of the legal requirements and best practices for conducting meetings using the two new teleconference meeting procedures. DCA is here to help boards and bureaus navigate the new requirements. Please direct any questions about the requirements for teleconference meetings to board and bureau legal counsel. Furthermore, the department successfully developed and launched a new process and portal in support of service members and their families following new federal and state laws passed in 2023. Known as the Federal Professional License Portability and State Registration Portal. This new DCA online portal allows boards and bureaus to accept online requests from military service members and their spouses who currently hold a valid license in good standing in another state, district, or territory to register their practice in California within the same profession or vocation, if they relocate to California because of military orders. This online portal allows DCA boards and bureaus to timely receive, track, and review requests to ensure compliance with federal and state law. Registrations are required to be approved within 30 days of the board bureau receiving all the necessary documentation. In addition, DCA's military resources webpage and board and bureau licensing webpages were updated with federal professional license portability and state registration information. Currently, there are 21 individuals who have registered using this portal and are authorized to practice in California. DCA has shared the new portal with representatives from the U.S. Department of Defense, California's Governor's Military Council, California Department of Veteran Affairs, and the California Military Department, as well as relevant legislative committee staff. DCA also provided an outreach toolkit to each board and bureau to share social media updates and listserv emails regarding the launch of the new portal with stakeholders. In addition, SB 372 by Senator Mangivar was signed by Governor Newsom in September and became effective January 1st, 2024. This bill requires DCA boards and bureaus to update license records if they receive government-issued documentation demonstrating a legal change of name or gender for gender transition or domestic violence reasons. This bill allows licensees to request their prior name not be published online in connection with the license or the current name and establishes a process for individuals to access a licensee's enforcement records under their prior name. This required DCA to ensure the previous name does not appear in connection to the new name on the DCA online license search, while also ensuring that any previous disciplinary records follow the individual, so consumers can contact the board or bureau to obtain the previous discipline information without allowing the new name to be associated with the previous name online. DCA developed a new webpage and global form that licensees can use to request this new confidentiality. DCA also distributed an outreach toolkit with messaging for board staff to use when receiving questions from licensees and the public. Lastly, DCA invites presidents and vice presidents to attend the department's annual President's Training on February 22nd, 2024 from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. This virtual training will outline the role of a board president, including understanding the scope of the role, managing board members, communicating with the executive officer, and performing administrative duties. This training not only provides valuable information from DCA staff, but it will also include a panel of prior DCA board presidents. Their knowledge and expertise will provide insight into the significant roles a board president and vice president play on DCA regulatory boards. They will also be available to answer questions. This training is not only for members who are new to the role of president and vice president, but also for those who have served in the role for a year or more. Learning from each other is a large part of this training. An invitation was mailed to all board presidents and vice presidents last month, and we look forward to seeing you soon. If you haven't registered, there's still time. And as I close, thank you for your dedicated service to protect the consumers of California. I appreciate your time today and welcome any questions from the board. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gear. Are there any board questions or comments? Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I guess we have to ask any public comment. Is that correct, Mr. Swenson?
There's no motion pending, so it's not necessary.
Thank you. We will now move on to agenda item 7, fiscal and budgets update. Fund condition and budget updates, Department of Consumer Affairs, budget staff.
Morning.
Oh,
My
they'll be
name's
tuning
Nikki
in.
Brady. I'm the budget analyst with DCA office. I wanted to thank the board and the executive staff for allowing me today for a few minutes to present the agenda item number 7A and the documents included. First, I'm going to start with the board's expenditures, item 7A, page 1 of your materials. These projections are based on actual data through fiscal month 6. The report includes 2022-23 actual expenditures compared to the 2023 to 24 budgeted and projected expenditures. Over the 2-year period, costs have decreased as a result of lower costs in O&E, which is mainly in AG and OAH costs. As we move to the end of the document, you will see the board had a beginning base budget of $18.4 million, and it's projected to spend a total of $17.3 million, creating a reversion to the board's fund of $1.76 million, a reversion percentage of 5.85%. The next document I will be going over is the board's revenue projections, item 7A, page 2 of your materials. This report includes receipts collected through FM6, December 2023. I'll go further into the projections as we transition to the next slide. The next slide, item 7H, page 3 of your materials, is the board's fund condition statement. As a reminder, we read this document from top to bottom and then left to right. The left column is the board's prior year 2022-23 projections based on actuals through fiscal month 6. It shows the board began 2022-23 with an adjusted beginning balance of just over $2.573 million. The board collected $23.323 million in revenues, with $7.149 million from initial licensing fees, $15.110 million from licensee renewals, and $1.64 million was collected from insurance and citations, fines, delinquent fees, and other revenue. The board expended just over $18 million, which includes $1.368 million in direct draws to the fund for statewide pro rata and pension payments. The board ended 2022-23 with just over $7.847 million reserve balance, or about 5.1 months in reserve. For current year, the board projects revenues of just over $24.6 million, with a $7.1 million projected from initial license fees, $16.4 million from renewal fees, and $1.1 million from the insurance of citations, fines, delinquent fees, and other revenue. The board is projected to expend approximately $18.6 million between authorized expenditures and direct draws to the fund, leaving the board with a fund balance of approximately $13.8 million, or 8.6 months in reserve. The Budget Office will continue to monitor the board's revenue and expenditures and report back to the board with monthly expenditure projections as we close fiscal months in the current year. A few things to note to the board's fund condition. The fund condition is a snapshot in time. One of the main factors of driving this expenditure increases in future years is a result of personal service adjustments. These include general salary increases as well as employee compensation and retirement rate adjustments. The Budget Office includes a conservative ongoing 3% increase to expenditures on the fund condition statement to account for those ongoing incremental adjustments. The fund balance reserve is the amount of funds remaining at the end of any given fiscal year. The board has a statutory fund balance limit of 24 months, but typically 3 to 6 months is considered significant. As you can see, the fund balance is healthy and showing growth over the next 3 years. The Budget Office has no concerns and will continue to monitor the budget and provide updates to the board on a regular basis. And lastly, I would like to note to the board that any future legislation or anticipated events could result in the board's need for additional resources, which would create cost pressure on the fund. The Budget Office will continue to monitor the board's fund condition statement and keep the line of communication with the board's executive staff open for any future needs or expectations. Again, I'd like to thank the board members and executive staff for allowing me this opportunity to present at today's meeting, and will be happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Thank you so much. Are there any board discussion or questions? Seeing none, because there's no motion, we don't need a public comment, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Agenda item 8, we will move on to our educational reports, recommendations, and possible actions. Dr. McLeod?
Good morning. I have to put my glasses on. I'm Dr. Judith McLeod. I'm the lead nursing education consultant. Currently, I am going to give the education report. We do have a vacant position in the education division as our supervising nursing education consultant, Beth DeYoung, has retired. Good for her. Yay. But we do have an opening now for a supervising nursing education consultant. We've had a busy time at the end of 2023. We did 17 on-site visits. So the nursing education consultants were very busy at the end of the year. We had 24 proposed programs submit a letter of intent. Of those, 20 are private programs and 4 were community colleges. They were all LVN programs. We are hoping to see some PT programs in this coming year. We have 8 of those proposed programs who have not completed their letter of intent. This seems to be a problem we're having with the letter of intent. We don't seem to be able to get those done, but we do have 8 programs that are currently in the proposed program process. So we are hoping to see at least 3 of those in the next couple of months that will be approved. So that's a good positive move forward. We currently have 169 programs that are approved in the state of California. We're busy with projects. We're still working on Article 5, revising the regulations. We're doing busy work with the trying to get a database onto the BVMPT website. That's in the process. We have revised the PT fact sheet for the website, and we are working on the LVN fact sheet as well. So we're hoping to see that on there soon with a new revision. And on January 24th through 26th, these subject matter experts came in and worked on the psychiatric technician exam. We appreciate Opus's help with that. They were the facilitators for that, and we do appreciate their help. And we had a very successful completion of that. And we had 5 subject matter experts on site that did that for 2 days. And so they did a lot of work in that 2 days or 3-day period. And we were really appreciative of all of their efforts. So we actually have 7 subject matter experts available, and we managed to have 5 come in. So we're very, very pleased. And that's the end of my report. Any questions that you have? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move on to A1, review ratification approval of executive officer program decisions for the period of November 11, 2023 to January 11, 2024. Can I have a motion to approve and ratify the executive officer program decisions for the period from November 11, 2023 to January 11, 2024, listed in the report dated January 15, 2024?
So move.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I would second.
Thank you so much. Any board discussion or questions? Seeing none, any public comment here or virtually?
As a moderator and at the direction of the board, I've opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment on this item, please click the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen, or use the raise hand function. And audio-only participants may raise their hand by pressing *3 on their device. I'll pause a moment to allow the public time to access these features and submit their requests. All right, and seeing none, would you like me to close the Q&A panel?
I would, thank you. I will do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Brown? Not back. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sanson?
Yes.
And I'm Carol Mountain, and I also vote yes, and that means the vote carries by a vote of 8, sorry. So we will now look at consideration of placement on provisional approval. We will start with Platt College Alhambra Vocational Nursing Program. Ms. Barrett is the nursing education consultant.
Good morning. I have submitted my report for Platt College Alhambra VN program with a request for consideration of placement on a provisional approval. My recommendation is to place them on provisional approval for 2 years and to be placed on the agenda for the board meeting scheduled for February 2026. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
We call for the person to come up next. Is there a representative from Platt College that would like to come up to the microphone? Or are they virtual?
It's Keisha Alvarado. And yeah, that's the director, program director.
Buddy? Do we have a representative from the college?
This is a moderator. I'm not seeing that name in the attendee list, but if there is a representative, if you could either, I've opened up the Q&A panel, if you could type in there or use the raise hand feature, that would be great.
Can I have a motion to approve the Platt College Alhambra VN program report and adopt the NEC recommendations regarding the consideration of placement on provisional approval?
So moved.
Thank you. Can we have a second? Thank you. We've asked already for comment from the representatives of the program, and we see none. Is there any board discussion or questions?
I have just a point of inquiry here. The pass rate for this particular program is significantly below and has been for a number of years now. And it would have been quite beneficial to hear from a program representative as to a positive and affirmative plan to increase the pass rate. I'm very concerned about this.
I think it also says that in your recommendations that there was few resources available to students and no tutoring. So, or little tutoring. It says few resources available was the very last thing you mentioned. Student tutoring and remediation were non-existent and weak.
No, that was previous, and they have since they've made an attempt, and a great attempt at reversing the NCLEX pass rates. They are working hard. That was the previous, and why they had a reason for why the pass rates were so poor. But they have made, yeah.
Did
That
they
was-
institute something like ATI or?
They did. They
Good.
did. They
So-
have that in place, and they're working on an IP change right now too. So
Thank you. That's
they're making
excellent.
a lot of progress. That was the previous, and then they had interventions to combat that. Yes.
That's great to know. Thank you. Thank you for asking, Mr. Durking.
Good question. Thank you.
Well, may I direct a question to the NEC in the absence of the program rep? Are you confident that the implemented measures will lead to an improvement for this particular program, especially in the area of pass rate?
I am.
Okay.
Those are great questions.
Thank you.
Can we ask for public comment virtually and any public comment here on ground?
This is the moderator, and at the direction of the board, I've opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment on this item, please click the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen, or use the raise hand function. And audio-only participants may raise their hand by pressing *3 on their device. I'll pause a moment to allow the public time to access these features and submit their requests. All right, and seeing none, would you like me to close the Q&A panel?
I would. Thank you so much.
Madam Chair, if I may, before you call the roll. Ms. Barrett, has the program director expressed any objections to your report and recommendation?
Not at all.
Thank you.
And I did want to say, I do see that the program directors reach out to all non-testers, and it's now going to help them as well pass NCLEX
Correct.
PN, which
Yes,
is
yes.
excellent. All right, I will do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Is she back? Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Brown, I missed you. Thank you. Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sanson?
Yes.
And I'm Carol Mountain. I also vote yes, and that motion is carried unanimously. We will now move on to C, consideration of placement on provisional approval. Consideration of recommendation to rescind the program's pattern of admission for Smith Chasen School of Nursing, Ontario, Vocational Nursing Program. Dr. McLeod, Lead Nursing Education Consultant.
Good morning again. I've submitted my report for Smith Chasen, Ontario Vocational Nursing Program for consideration of provisional approval or consideration of provisional approval and consideration for removal of the program's pattern of admission. My recommendations to place the program on provisional approval and removal of the patterns of admissions are in your report. I would be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Did I read correctly that they had 16 instructors
17,
and 4 directors
correct, in the
And-
last year.
in the last year?
Yes.
That's pretty significant. We don't usually see turnover of that intensity.
Correct.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the Smith Chasen School of Nursing Ontario VN program report and adopt the NEC recommendations regarding the consideration of placement on provisional approval and consideration of recommendation to rescind the program pattern of admission? Do we have a motion?
Abraham also moved.
Thank you. In a second?
I second.
Thank you. Is there any comment from representatives of the program? Are you here? Thank you.
Board Chair, would it be okay? Chair?
I'm good. How are you? Nice to be in person again.
Yeah.
No. No. No.
This is everything that you have.
Yeah, you can't give anything to the board members. You can only do things orally.
Signatures. Okay, go ahead. Board Chair, okay if we begin addressing?
Yes, please. Could each person introduce themselves for the record?
My name is Andrew High. I'm Chief Operating Officer and General Counsel for Smith Chasen College. Myra Chasen.
Hi, I'm Myra Chasen. I'm one of the founders and the CEO of Smith Chasen College.
My name is Dr. Tiffany Jorgensen. I'm the program director at the Ontario campus.
Good morning, Judy Corliss, consultant and worked with the college since 2019.
Ryan Chilstrom, Campus Director, Smith Chasen Ontario Campus.
Madam Chair, if I may. Since there are a lot of representatives, it's within the chair's discretion to ask the program to designate a person who will make the presentation on behalf of the program.
And we'd like to do that. Could you designate one person to be your primary speaker?
We'd like to designate our Director of Nursing, Tiffany Jorgensen.
All right, excellent. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Dr. Tiffany Jorgensen, and I am the current Director of Nursing at Smith Chasen College for the Vocational Nursing programs. First and foremost, I want to express my gratitude and appreciation to this board for providing me with an opportunity to represent our college here today. There is so much I would love to discuss with you in detail, but I do want to be mindful of everyone's time. So I will try to be as direct and concise as possible. My main goal here today is to provide you with a full and accurate explanation of Dr. McLeod's assessment of our Ontario campus. And I had put together some what I felt were very helpful resources for each of the board members to be able to follow along today. I'm being told that I am not allowed to provide these binders to you now, though. Yes, ma'am.
We would, for the sake of time, to encourage you to be concise in what your responses. We have read the entire report already, so.
Right. So the report, a copy of the report was the first thing that I had included in these binders. And I know that you had read through it, but it is my very strong and humble opinion that this report is riddled with many complaints, alleged complaints alleged violations, and quite frankly, a lot of speculation and hearsay. What we strongly believe you did not have in front of you included in that report were some very, very simple facts that I really wanted to discuss with our NEC, but was not provided the opportunity to do so. So if I may just give you 3 quick facts to begin. Fact number 1, our beloved DON at the Ontario Nursing Campus passed away very suddenly from COVID-19 during the height of the pandemic. And since his sudden passing, we have experienced a bit of turnover at our Ontario campus, particularly in the leadership positions. The second fact I would like to inform you about today is, despite those turnovers in those leadership positions, the pass rates, particularly for the past year, remained above the national average, and our most recent quarterly pass rate at the Ontario campus was 93.75%, so almost 94% for our most recent pass rate. Fact number 3, I assumed the role of Director of Nursing at the Ontario campus just 4 months ago on October 3rd. Knowing that this campus had experienced a bit of turnover, I understood I would likely be inheriting a few challenges. Luckily, I am a former U.S. Navy sailor and a very experienced and seasoned ICU nurse and critical care educator, so I consider myself to be someone who appreciates a good challenge. Plus, looking at the pass rates, I thought that Ontario's got to be doing something right to have a most recent pass rate of 94%. So I very excitedly and humbly accepted the position of director on October 3rd. Only 3 weeks after my arrival, Dr. McLeod informed me she had received 7 anonymous alleged complaints regarding our campus. That's pretty serious and definitely not what I wanted to hear. The complaints she provided were very vague, and as someone who was newer to the campus, I did request to speak with Dr. McLeod about it. She explained that they are vague for a reason. I wanted to let her know that even though her and I could not discuss it, we take any and all complaints very seriously. So to show her how serious we were, I provided a very comprehensive report that is included in this binder to her to address every single one of those alleged complaints. And I provided that to her by the deadline of November 17. To this date, today, February 16, I have still not had an opportunity to discuss those complaints nor our responses that we provided to her. I did try. I reached out. I requested a virtual meeting. She accepted my request, and we met on December 4th. Instead of discussing any of the responses I had provided to her, she informed me that she was still reviewing our report and we would discuss it later. She then stated something to the effect of, I will be asking for your assistance to arrange for student meetings in about 2 to 3 weeks. I was more than happy to assist with this. What's interesting, however, is she showed up on our campus only 7 days later. As a result of that visit, she stated we would be receiving 10 violations. Fast forward a bit, I provided another full, comprehensive, thorough response to every single alleged violation that she provided to us that day. There's a backstory for everything, and I wanted to openly and professionally discuss it with her, but I was not provided that professional courtesy. Again, as of today, February 16, Dr. McLeod has yet to meet with me to openly discuss any of the alleged complaints or the alleged violations, despite my many attempts to discuss these with her. So this has gotten to a point where I've become incredibly suspicious of what's truly going on. In the Navy, we were taught to pay extra close attention to detail. Attention to detail is everything, and in the Navy, that could be life and death. In ICU, we are highly trained to look at complex situations. If there is an abnormality of some kind, we need to determine what is the underlying cause. What are the contributing factors to this abnormality we are witnessing? So I took a few steps back to reassess the whole situation because things were not adding up. I may be new to this program, but it did not take much for me to determine there was a highly abnormal situation going on. For a school that has been around for over 25 years and has never experienced anything like this before, for a program whose most recent quarterly pass rate was almost 94%, it wasn't making sense. Until I determined that this string of anonymous complaints very much aligned with a string of resignations we had experienced at the beginning of October. I provided an outline for you as well, whole timeline to show exactly when those resignations took place and when this very calculated barrage of complaints started coming into the board. I respect Dr. McLeod in the position that she is in, but it is my professional opinion that she has allowed a very biased, very disgruntled, one-sided party to negatively impact her ability to look at our situation objectively.
I'm going to ask you to cut that off. I think that's not the facts, that's conjecture, and I think that you've made your point. I appreciate what you've said, but now you're just getting into some speculation about what happened, and you don't really have any facts to support that. So
I do have facts, ma'am.
well, but you don't know that the people who complain, and
Okay.
that's not, so you can't get into that kind of conjecture at this point in front of this board, all right? I mean, I think you've made your case very, very strongly. I do want to point out that you said you had a 93% pass rate, and I see on here October to December 2023, you did have a 93% pass rate. But before that, you had 77%. That was July to September 2023. April to June 2023, you went back to, you had 92. January to March 2023, 78. But in October to December 2022, your pass rate was 25%. So you're all over the place with your pass rate. And it's great to say we had a 93% pass rate. Hats off to you guys. That's awesome. But it's the consistency, the inconsistency that would certainly give Dr. McLeod and myself as an educator cause to look at this and say there is concern. There's also concern when you see 17 nursing instructors turnover in the course of a year. That's a lot of nursing instructors. I've been an instructor myself for 30 plus years. I've never worked in a program where I've seen that kind of turnover. With COVID-19, I could certainly see, and I'm sorry about your director. That's very, very sad. My heart goes out to your program. I could certainly see a turnover of program directors, and I could certainly even see losing 1 or 2 instructors, but 17 is significant. So there are some significant deficits that have happened that are pretty clear here. What I got from what you said is that you're completely disagreeing with the report that was filed. Is that correct?
I would just want to say that no program is perfect. And the second that I got there, we identified any areas that we felt that improvements could be made. But I do very strongly disagree with the reports that she provided. And I have examples as to why we disagree with every single one of those alleged violations and complaints. And I've been trying to discuss these with her over a period of months and have not had the opportunity to do so.
Dr. McLeod, would you like to respond before I open up for other questions?
I'm always available by email, and she hasn't given me a request for an actual online that I can remember. And I can go back through my emails, but I don't remember any of those. She's always available to email me anything she wants. I read all the emails that she sends.
My experience as a program director was that my NEC was very responsive, and they are very responsive to email.
The other thing is she's a brand new program director, and I feel that she needs time to be able to get under control anything that's going on at Ontario. And I think that there are a number of things going on in Ontario that she still needs to deal with. And additional complaints have come in the month of January. So whatever people were complaining that she feels were complaining that are maybe not there anymore, there are additional people that are complaining.
And you said you take those complaints very seriously, as does the board. So I would think that if you take those complaints seriously, that you would look at this report and feel like you could work collaboratively with Dr. McLeod to simply take care of the issues that are here and that are listed in this report. I mean, we all, as nurses, we all want excellence. That's what we strive for. And certainly as we educate our future nurses, we want that excellence. And
I do feel too, Dr. Mountain, that Dr. Jorgensen will take it very seriously and will work very hard to get things intact. But I do feel she needs the time, and I do feel they need to be on provisional right now. They may not be on provisional for 2 years. They may come off a provisional earlier than that, because I think she sincerely wants to make things better. But I do think right now They need to be on provisional. And I do feel right now, they do not need a pattern of admission. I feel that that's a problem, and it was a problem, it was a violation.
It seems like we have some more questions. Go ahead.
Good morning. Thank you so much for your testimony this morning. I would like to ask, you said on, I believe, December 4th, you reached out to Dr. Mountain to try to schedule a meeting. And so what I would, I mean, not Dr. McLeod, I apologize. I would like to know why wasn't a meeting ever scheduled and some of this stuff discussed before coming here?
Right. So a point of clarification is I requested a meeting with her and we did meet virtually on December 4th. But she did not want to discuss my response that I had provided to her, to discuss any of the alleged complaints that I provided all of the backstory and details and tried to collaborate with her. And she said we would talk about it later.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Dr. McLeod, can you explain what happened, please, from your perspective?
On December the 4th, I was still reviewing the information she'd sent and looking into some of that information, and I had received additional complaints.
Thank you.
Was there another question?
I have a
Go ahead.
question for the program rep. Doctor, were you present during the unannounced visit on December 11th?
Yes.
Okay, and it was noted at that time there were a number of not corrected violations?
No, this is when she was assessing our program in person and then provided the violations after that.
But you were present in December.
I was.
For example, the program has a pattern of admission for 3-day and 3 evening classes.
Mhm.
During the unannounced visit, it was noted that the program is admitting 4 evening and 2-day classes, pattern of admission that does not follow their approved pattern of admission.
Yes, that is.
To date, has that been corrected?
So I do want to say yes, but also we hadn't indicated those patterns of enrollment, the 4 evening, 2-day patterns on every annual report and enrollment data table in the years leading up to this. So for me coming in and looking at our pattern of admissions, I didn't see anything that contradicted what had been done prior. And those reports were submitted to Dr. McLeod on 2022 and 2023.
2023 pattern annual report did not include numbers on it about the pattern of admission.
The other thing about,
2022 report did, but the 2023 report did not. They just had dates. And sometimes programs that are going to go on, the dates will be different. So there was no indication of their pattern of admission on that report. And I'm reviewing 15 reports. So I overlooked it. Yes, I'll take the responsibility for overlooking that I didn't have numbers, but I did not have numbers.
Well, I have additional concerns, all related to not only the not corrected, but some of the other substantive issues involving clinical placement, students not participating in clinical placement, and then taking written tests to compensate. Also, a number of skill labs have a number of missing items, including mannequins. Some are noted to be old, not functional. Some did not have limbs. And this was noted also during December, and this appears to be not corrected. So I have a number of concerns here also. Thank you.
Every single one of those have been corrected as indicated in the report and the response that I provided to her. And
When did you submit the response?
you gave me a due date of January 12th and I submitted it January 12th.
She submitted pictures of the mannequins, I believe, if they're in the, because I haven't had a chance to review it yet, Tuesday of this week.
That was to address your follow-up questions where you requested additional pictures of completely undressed mannequins. So we had provided pictures initially. You said those pictures were not sufficient and to resend undressed pictures of all the mannequins, which we did comply with as well.
Okay, I've studied the report.
Mhm.
I have heard your testimony today. And I have one final question at the conclusion. If there are any board questions, it will help me summarize the entire matter before us.
Please ask your final
Oh,
question. That would be
My
excellent.
question is, Dr. McLeod, you've heard the testimony of the program representatives today. Does that in any way change your opinions, conclusions, and recommendations as you provided in your report?
No.
All right, thank you.
And from the program, we'll take one final statement.
We strongly believe that these faculty members who are no longer with the organization were directly correlated to all of these complaints that we're pouring in. We have so many processes in place, grievance policies, chain of command, open door policies, HR hotline. We do wellness calls to every single student twice a term to make sure we're addressing any concerns for every single one of the students. And none of these issues were ever reported to us. Instead, for whatever reason, they went directly to Dr. McLeod. And I tried to address them, collaborate with her, seek guidance as a new director. And I did not feel like I was getting that kind of collaboration in return, as evidenced by the many reports that I provided for her and did not get any discussion.
Thank you. I have one final question for you. Do you feel that you can work collaboratively to move forward and keep this program? I mean, you have repeatedly said she wasn't collaborative, but my experience with all of the NECs and as a director within NEC was that they were very collaborative. So I'm asking you, do you feel that you can work collaboratively to move forward and to take this program back to the excellence that you strive for?
100%. That's all I want is collaboration. That is it.
All right. Can I have, we have a motion, so can you open it up for public comment, please? And if there's any other public comment here, we'll take that now. And thank you very much for coming and sharing with us and providing all this information. Appreciate it.
This is the moderator and at the direction of the board. I have opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public on WebEx, if you'd like to make a comment on this item, please click the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen or use the raise hand function. And audio-only participants may raise their hand by pressing *3 on their device.
Okay, sorry.
All right, and seeing no requests for public comment, would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
We have one request for public comment.
Oh, I apologize. No requests in WebEx.
How do I handle it? All right, you may make a comment.
Board member, good morning, members of the board. And just give you just a 10-second context to where I'm coming from is that this is my first appearance before the board in a few years. I've been very attending every board meeting probably for the past 15, 20 years. I have supported this board 110% in its work and its mission to protect the consumer public, the consumer student, turn out good nurses. I've acted at the request of prior executive officers to travel on notice at 5 p.m. in the afternoon that they need testimony in the sunset hearings for this board. And I've gotten in my car and I've driven all the way to Sacramento to deliver a supportive presentation to the Sunset Committee. It's in this regard and why I bring this to your attention that this is not sour grapes here. There is something very, very wrong with this situation. I've consulted, I've worked for colleges, I've been through the worst of the worst where there's been fraud, there's been low pass rates, there's been everything. But to take a program away from a college, 58 students were ready to start their class, 58, and within 72 hours was taken away the future of those students. They quit their jobs, they arranged daycare, they reduced their work schedules, they did everything they could to be good students and attend this college without any kind of due process, just on the whim and the opinion of an NEC who we believe, I strongly believe, came in with a prejudged and an agenda, was not collaborative, was not congenial, was not there to find the facts, was to demean and talk down to the director of nursing, knowing that this was her first time up to with a program. She has a lot of experience. The problem is that the NEC based this whole report on alleged anonymous letters. Do you see anywhere in this report that we're trying to give you, and if you read it, did it ever say anonymous letters? Didn't do that at all. No court of law or hearing would ever consider anonymous, unsubstantiated, untested letters. Not one would. Second of all here is that the students, the faculty, the staff, the members of the public have many, many opportunities to voice their opinions to this college in every which way. Dr. Jorgensen, text to the top, hotline, HR hotline, harassment policies, harassment reporting policies. We have all of that in place here. Not one report was ever made to any of these avenues.
Madam Chair,
Not
point of
one.
order.
Now, doesn't that seem a little bit odd?
Thank you so much for your service
my
to the
time up?
board. Yes, it is.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your service to the board, and thank you for discussing this with us. Go ahead.
Hi, Judy Corliss. Hold on, let me get closer. I just want to say that working with Dr. Jorgensen has really been a pleasure. She has taken this whole program and divided every avenue of it to the nit's eye. I have never worked with a faculty member and a director that has been any more thorough than Dr. Jorgensen. So I look forward to working with her and getting this program up to speed for every thing that is necessary for this board to approve. I just have never seen, and I am a former board member of the BRN, and I reviewed all the cases such as you for many years, and I've never seen a group of 60 students be taken away the next day based on the initial report. So I'm very concerned about those 60 students. They have had their parents come into our college crying, saying, the financial aid came to our school. We can't touch it, but they can't go anywhere else because it's been allotted to our college. So those students are left out in the wind and we don't know what to do. So we're asking today if we could have that start back.
But if the financial aid has been allotted to your college, then it's still there for those students. And it sounds like everyone has full confidence in Dr. Jorgensen that you're going to get this program where it needs to be. And Dr. McLeod has already said, you don't have to be on provisional for 2 years. We just need to see these things rectified so that the students are getting the experience they need to become good nurses. And just one final question. Can you tell me how much does it cost a student to come through your program?
About $35,000.
$35,000. That's a lot of money for an LVN to pay to become a nurse. So we are trying to make sure that the program is offering all that they need so that your pass rates stay at that 93%. And I do feel that this is a collaborative report where Dr. McLeod is saying, these are the things that needs to be fixed. She said, fix them. And you can always come off provisional early. We just want to see things put where they need to be. And those students can still certainly come into your program and move forward. But I do think it's time for us to move forward and ask for a vote. Is that correct? And thank you again so much for sharing your opinions and your feelings and how much you love this program. That's important too. So, Mr. Swenson, do I just call for?
Yeah, the pending motion is to.
Thank you so much. Oh, we have a
approve
motion on
and
the
adopt.
floor to approve the Smith Chasen School of Nursing Ontario VN program. We've opened it for public comment. We've opened it to the board. I will now do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Brown?
Please restate the motion.
Yes.
The motion is to approve and adopt the recommendations of the nursing education consultant in the written report.
No.
You do not approve?
I do not.
Okay. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking,
Yes.
Ms. Guzman,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Ms. Moore, Ms. Sanson.
Yes.
My name is Carol Mountain. I also vote yes. 7 in favor of adopting, 1 opposed. So this motion will carry. Thank you so much. We will now move forward with reconsideration of provisional approval, request to admit students for Integrity College of Health Vocational Nursing Program. Ms. Barrett.
Good morning. I have submitted my report for Integrity College VN program with a request for reconsideration of provisional approval and a request to admit. My recommendations are to extend the program's provisional status for 1 year, effective February 16th, 2024, and place the program on a February 2025 board agenda for reconsideration of provisional approval. And my recommendation is to approve the program's request to admit a full-time class of 20 students to commence on February 26, 2024, with a graduation date of April 24th, 2025. I would be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to improve the Integrity College of Health VN program report and adopt the NEC recommendations regarding reconsideration of provisional approval and request to admit students? Can I have a-
Abraham Hill, so moved.
Thank you. And a second?
John Deerking will second.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the representative of the program here or virtually? I see them getting up. Thank you so much. Please identify yourselves and then feel free to speak.
Good morning. I'm Alice Sorrell Thompson. I'm the program director for the vocational nursing program at Integrity College of Health.
Good morning, Dr. Welch. I am the Vice President of Nursing for Legacy Education.
Questions?
Did you want to respond to?
Oh, we absolutely concur with the recommendations of our NEC, and we are very grateful to be able to go forward, improve, and serve our community.
Anything else? Thank you so much for your comments. Any board discussion or questions for our representatives? Seeing none, could we open it up for public comment, please? Or if there's other public comment here in this room, please come forward.
This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. I've opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, you may request comment by clicking the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen or using the raise hand function. And audio-only participants may raise their hand by pressing *3 on their device. Pause a moment to allow the members of the public on WebEx to submit their requests. All right, and seeing none on WebEx, would you like me to close that Q&A feature?
I would, thank you so much. I see no other public comments. Based on that, I will do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains.
Just one comment, if
Go
I
ahead.
may. Thank you, Dr. Mountain. I notice on page 2, on January 8th, 6 out of 8 violations were uncorrected. NEC's clarified information missing from the submitted documents for the remaining uncorrected violations. And by January 16th, 2024, all violations were corrected. That really to me, that speaks to a collaborative effort on the part of the programs and our NECs. So thank you for all parties.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. And thank you for coming. All right. Are we ready for a roll call? Any other comments? Let's do a roll call. Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Carpenter,
Yes.
Mr. Durking,
Yes.
Ms. Guzman,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Ms. Sanson,
Yes.
and I'm Carol Mountain, and I also vote yes. That will be 8 votes for yes, and so the motion carries. We will move forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We will move forward to Healthcare Career College Vocational Nursing Program. Dr. Thompson, Nursing Education Consultant. Yeah.
Good morning. I have submitted my report for Healthcare Career College Vocational Nursing Program with a request to admit a full-time class of 20 students and for reconsideration of provisional approval. My recommendations are deny admission of the full-time class of 20 students, revoke the provisional approval for Healthcare Career College Vocational Nursing Program effective February 16th, 2024, and remove the program from the board's approved list of vocational nursing programs effective February 16th, 2024. I would be happy to answer any questions from board members.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson. Can I have a motion to approve the Healthcare Career College VN Program Report and adopt the NEC recommendations regarding reconsideration of provisional approval and request to admit students?
So moved.
Thank you. A second?
John Deerking will second.
Thank you. Is there any comment from the representatives of the program? Thank you for coming. Please come forward, state your names. There's an extra chair right there you can pull up.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Estrada, and I'm the Director of Nursing at Healthcare Career College. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to respond and to give some information that we hope you will consider. We did send, oh, I'm sorry.
Hi, I'm Amita Garg. I'm the CEO of Healthcare Career College. Hi, my name is Edna Crayus Wong, and I'm one of the full-time faculty members with Healthcare Career College since 2018.
Okay, great. We did send a report, response of all the violations that we gathered to back to Ms. Thompson and also Ms. Yamaguchi and Ms. McLeod. We also sent copies to the board. Did any of you get copies of that, our responses?
I would ask the chair to admonish the speaker it's not the role of your presentation to ask questions of the board. Make your presentation and the board can ask questions to you. but
Okay,
it's not-
okay.
you
Well, I
should not
just
ask
wanted to know if you, because I didn't want to go through the whole thing in a, so,
And
okay.
we encourage you to stick to the facts and keep it
Okay,
concise.
will do. All right.
In your response.
So I just have some introductory comments before I address the violations that we received. And I previously was the program director of this college in 2011 to 2015. And Ms. Thompson was assigned as our NEC in June last year, 2023. On July 6th, there was a site visit for reconsideration of our provisional status, and it was conducted, and it resulted in the 4 violations that we received. At the August 15th meeting of 2023 board meeting, the college was directed to correct the violations and submit a comprehensive report by December the 15th. And based on experience with previous NECs, the college was under the impression that documentation of the corrected violations needed to be submitted as all at once and not piecemeal. So the college waited till December the 15th faculty meeting so that we would be able to provide 6 months of minutes, which was required. The college submitted that and our response to all 4 violations with documentation and comprehensive program analysis by December the 15th, 2023. After reviewing the college's response, Ms. Thompson recommended additional changes. She does have an incredible background in curriculum and has been able to share quite a bit of depth of knowledge to help us. So she recommended additional changes to the documentation and provided 2 of the 4 corrected violations. Now, the college immediately complied and provided updated admissions criteria, credit granting policies to Ms. Thompson on December the 17th. The college has submitted acceptable documentation following the NEC's guidelines for the 4 violations identified in the July visit. Each of these violations have been corrected. On December the 18th, after Ms. Thompson reviewed the college's comprehensive program analysis, she communicated additional items that needed to be updated to help us. The college received official communication from the board of additional 6 violations on February the 6th, which is quite recent. So we didn't have these violations until February the 6th. The college has been in regular communication with Ms. Thompson and has continued to provide updated policies based on her guidelines. Of the 6 additional violations that we received in February, the college has already corrected 4 of those 6, even though we've had a short time frame. And in the process of the total, and we're in the process of total curriculum revision, which she has suggested. So we know that the NCLEX PN licensure exam rates have remained steady for our college. College has remained within 10 points of the state annual average pass rate for each of the past 8 quarters. You'll notice in the board report, you already have it. It looks, you know, we provided a table, and it shows the most current data available from October to December 2023. The program average annual pass rate was 93%. I'm pretty proud of that. The California average annual pass rate was only 81. So we did exceed that. And, you know, we're trying very hard to use whatever information that we're learning from the NEC to improve our program. So I did bring a factual documentation for all of the violations and all the emails back and forth and the dates, and I also have a table. So we really have been communicating quite a lot, and we appreciate that. We've made and committed to make necessary changes to the program in accordance with the guidelines that we received from Ms. Thompson, and we'll continue to evaluate the program, including the administration to ensure that the program can meet compliance with the BVNPT regulations. Do we have time? I would,
Thank you. I think you've really painted quite a picture for us. I'd like to open it up and see if there's any questions from the board.
can I make an offer that, there were 10 violations? I could go briefly through them because I don't
I
know
don't think that's necessary.
that you have the information.
Well, I don't think that's necessary.
Okay.
I think we've read the report. I do have a couple of questions. I'm sure other people have some questions. My first question is, what is the cost for a VN to go through your program?
That's about 30,000, right? 30,000.
About $30,000.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money for an LVN, just like 35,000 was
It's
a
about
lot of
the
money.
same as others programs.
It's still very expensive. You go to
Oh, yeah.
community college for about $3,000. So they're paying a lot of money to come to
Sure.
your program.
Yeah.
And I guess for me, as I read through this report, there were definitely some things that caused me concern. One of them being the fact that you've been in around for 15 years and 7 months. Yeah, is that about right?
Yes, I can speak to the historical data. Yeah.
Well, out of those 15 years, 10 of them, you've been on provisional. So I don't doubt that you can get in and clean your college up. That's not a doubt in my mind. I can see that you guys know how to, and especially you've been a director before, you know what to do.
Yeah.
You know how to clean this program up. I guess the thing that's of concern to me, and I wonder if this wasn't of concern to Dr. Thompson, is that where is the sustaining power to stay cleaned up? Right now, your pass rate's at 93%, but if we look back, it hasn't always been there. You were at 71%. You've had a fluctuating pass rate. And when somebody is putting out that much money, we really need to see that the program is robust enough to sustain that and shouldn't be on provisional for 2/3 of the time that the program's been open.
Of course, I completely understand the importance of stability in terms of the leadership and faculty for continuation of the program. Our college has made significant changes to our internal infrastructure. I would like to note that our faculty team has been stable. Ms. Edna has been with us since 2018. Another faculty has been with us since 2017. The rest of our faculty are very stable with us. I do understand the concern and agree with the concern regarding the program director. Last year when I brought Ms. Estrada on, I knew that she would be committed and loyal to the program because she had shown evidence of that for 4 years in the past. And I did not want that turnover to ever happen again. I have expressed to the program have expressed to our NEC our desire to hire an ADON as well so that there would be redundancy in case an emergency happens. Just last week, one of our faculty members has stepped up and qualified to be our ADON. So that is our continuing plan to have program stability. Additionally, with the change, the curriculum revision, that is another way to ensure stability.
Are there other questions from the board?
Oh, can I answer the one that you said about the 71%? The only two times that we had anything lower than 80% was when we had no testers. So I just wanted to clarify
Okay.
that. Sorry. Thank you.
No worries. Are there other questions from the board?
I just have one directed to the NEC. Dr. Thompson, you heard the testimony of the program representatives today.
Yes.
Does any of that information change your conclusions or recommendations in your report?
No, it does not.
Thank you.
Any other questions from any board members?
Am I able to add something with the stability of the program?
I beg your pardon?
Can I add something about the stability of the program or not?
There aren't any board questions pending, so you can move on to public comment.
Substitute motion.
Okay. I did want to mention that the board does have the power to delay vote or to forward to the committee, should they so choose. We could certainly put that on the table as a motion if you'd like to do that.
May we, may,
No. So hearing no other votes, I believe we need to open it for public comment. Would the moderator please open for virtual comment? And if there's any comment here, we'll take that now.
This is the moderator, and at the direction of the board, I have opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment on this item, please click the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen, or use the raise hand function. And audio-only participants may raise their hand by pressing *3 on their device. All right, and it looks like we do have a request for comment from Melody Garcia. And it looks like I got you logged in twice, Melody, so I'm going to pick the first one and see how it works. You'll be given 3 minutes to speak and a 15-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Hello.
This is
Hello?
the moderator. We can hear you.
Hi. Is this open to just any comments?
No, this is on agenda item 8. I believe we'll be doing public comment for items not on the agenda later.
Oh, on the agenda. I understand. I just wanted to put my 2 cents of how much the school really has helped us as students.
Are you talking about Healthcare Career College?
Yes.
Then I think that's appropriate.
Oh, okay. So when I first started this school, I came to the school with no understanding of it was gonna be an easy way for my future or not. But this school has given me a path and a goal for me to reach. And I feel like without this school, I would be lost. I've gone through so many devastating experiences, but with the school being behind my back, it's been giving me hope. So I just would greatly appreciate the considerations and everything, and I'm very grateful and thankful for everything they have done for us. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Moderator, are there any other comments?
This is the moderator, and it appears there are no further comments on WebEx. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
I would. Thank you so much. I will now do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Does anyone need the motion restated? Okay.
I do. Could you repeat the motion? Is that for the delay or?
The pending motion is to approve the recommendations of the nursing education consultant and to approve the report and adopt the recommendations of the nursing education consultant. That's the pending motion.
Okay, Ms. Brown. Oh, go ahead. You have a question?
Yes, I just have one question just to clarify one point in the recommendation for point number 2. It says effective date February 16th, 2924. Is that correct?
I think that was a typo.
That's a typo.
Okay.
It'll be 2024. Yeah. All right. Any other questions before we vote? Good. Okay. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Moore? Ms. Sanson.
Yes.
I'm Carol Mountain. I also vote yes. That motion is carried unanimously. I believe we are, wanna take a break? Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea. Let's take about a 10-minute bio break, and we'll be back about 10:50. Thank you. We are ready to resume. Do we need to turn recording back on?
This is the moderator. The recording is still going.
Oh, thank you. All right. So we will go to agenda item 9, Executive Officer Report. Ms. Yamaguchi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Elaine Yamaguchi, Executive Officer. We have submitted, of course, the written report in the packet, but there were a few items that I wanted to pop out for board discussion and possible action. The first of which is to revise, or rather convert, one of our licensing functions. The National Council of State Boards of Nursing, NCSBN, does manage the national database for all of the verification of licensure, discipline, practice principles, and privileges throughout the country, actually beyond the country, really, because there's some Canada, the territories, et cetera. But one service that they do offer that most of the nation boards does avail itself of is to be able to do the verifications for licensure, so that from California, right now, our board, our staff, the fighting folks of the licensing unit do verify all the requests for somebody who wants to move from California to another jurisdiction. And so they verify their licensure and status here. Now, NCSBN, as I said, the nurses system does do that for most, I think probably nearly all of the rest of the states, including BRN in this state. And so they have been speaking with us for a number of years, really, about us converting to that. Right now, as I said, our staff does do this, but given the fact that, one, our staff has been so understaffed and hard bit for the past few years, this would, I think, give them a little bit of breathing room. But more to the point, this is, I think, a really interesting and good business solution for us right now. The one thing that had really concerned us over the past few years was the cost. In other words, well, currently our board charges $150 for that function, and we get about probably 2,000 to 2,500 requests each year, which means that we've been expecting and needing that revenue of about, I would say, $300,000 to $375,000 each year. Right now, I think we've seen that our revenue situation is a lot more stable now than it was a few years ago, but there are still a few mitigations that I think are available to us that also help us make this as I think, a very viable and very good business decision. One of which is, I think probably the most important, which is the board can apply to NCSBN for multi-year funding that basically allows us to phase that transition. In short, we would be able to apply to them for a set amount of funds over 2 years or maybe 3, basically to allow us to not make an immediate cut or reduction or rearrangement in our licensing unit, but would give us some time to catch up, to reevaluate, and then really, I think through any kind of restructuring we would need to do. It gives us a great amount of time. But more importantly, I think from the board standpoint, the nurses charges a $30 for this function for licensees. And so this would be, I think, a really, really great service we could provide our licensees. So given that, I would really strongly recommend that the board authorize management to work with NCSBN to convert to the nurses system. And then, of course, we would certainly be submitting some status reports as we go forward, but and I really don't have like an active date to assume, but certainly within this calendar year, possibly as soon as the beginning of the fiscal year. So I'd be delighted to answer any questions on that.
I just have to speak in support of that. I hold multiple licenses in multiple states because I taught online, and nurses gets it done in, usually it's about a week. You get your new license in a week. And my experience with the BRN, I haven't dealt with the BVMPT, but it definitely took longer than a week, and it was much less money and so fast. It really is a great system. If we can afford to go to that, it would be a service
Yeah.
to our constituents.
And it's available 24/7 as well, which is, like I said, yeah. Any other questions or comments? I'd like a motion if I could, Dr. Mountain. Sure thing.
So
basically, Mr. Swenson, do you want to assist on a motion?
Motion?
Because
Yeah.
I have pretty much the gist of it in the report, but essentially, I would like the board to authorize management to work with NCSBN to convert our verification functions from internal staff to the nurses system.
Is that good, Mr. Swenson?
Yeah, I think that directing the executive officer to work with them to explore the possibility of converting those functions would be a good form of motion.
All right. Did everyone get that motion? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Great.
So we need to open it up for public board discussion or questions? Seeing none, can we open it up for public comment, please? And is there any public comment from the audience?
This is the moderator, and at the direction of the board, I have opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public on WebEx, if you would like to make a comment on this item, please click the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen, or use the raise hand function. And audio-only participants may raise their hand by pressing *3 on their device. All right, and seeing no requests for public comment, would you, on WebEx, would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
I would. Thank you so much. And seeing no other comments, I will do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Brown.
In favor.
Ms. Carpenter.
Yes.
Mr. Durking.
Yes.
Ms. Guzman.
Yes.
Mr. Hill.
Yes.
Ms. Moore. Ms. Sanson.
Yes.
I'm Carol Mountain. I also vote yes. That motion is carried by a vote of 8.
Wonderful. The second item I wanted to, actually, it's a very, very good news announcement. Literally this morning, the Senate emailed me to let us know that our sunset hearing is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, March 12th. And even better, I believe they're going to allow us to participate remotely. That is good news. So stay tuned. They're still working on our background paper with questions, which we'll be working on. And of course, the board needs to authorize our official response to that. But very good news. It's going to allow us to plan now. So good times.
Excellent.
Yeah. The next item I wanted to make certain the board knew about, and this is a little bit of a complicated and I think very serious matter. And this is the issue of the new federal Title IV rulemaking that was enacted in October of last year and will take effect unless something happens differently. And it goes into effect as of July 1 this year. Briefly, the federal Title IV is part of the Higher Education Act, and it governs the administration of all the higher ed programs, but especially the federal financial aid, both grants and loans. Essentially, this federal rulemaking would change the way programs would qualify, specifically about the hours of instruction. The key change here is that while historically BVNPT has required a minimum of 1,530 hours, instructional hours, counting both, theory and clinical, all the programs have that as a minimum. The new regulations would change that so that as of July 1, 2024, the minimum would become pretty much the maximum. And if a school's LVN program exceeded that, they would lose eligibility for Title IV funding. And a significant number of our programs are well over 1,530. So the board is going to need to consider a lot of possible solutions. The NECs and I have been working quite a lot, just discussing any option that we can possibly think of, including the crazy and absolutely unworkable ones. But the most important factor before us right now is that deadline. So right now, even though I think we have, I think, some possibilities, what I think the most important thing to do right now would be to communicate with the Department of Education and really, I think, express the problems of implementing any kind of change or solution or anything by July 1. Bluntly, as I said, so we have 169 programs, and the NECs have told me that something like 140 or 50 of them would need to at least change their curriculum, which as we were kind of doing the real high level math, the numbers I came up with was each NEC would have to drop everything they were doing and only concentrate on doing curriculum revisions with all of their schools. And it would take probably about 24 weeks, 950 hours, staff hours to do that. And July 1 is before that too. So it's a very, very risky thing. I know that most of the schools have expressed their very grave concerns. I know their representatives have expressed very grave concerns, and we've conversed with BPPE, of course, on how best to proceed. So, as I said, at this point, the best immediate action would be, I think, to have the board authorize the executive officer and staff to communicate with the department and basically, as I said, ask for a significant amount of time. I would say at least a year to develop the kind of options, and most likely anything we do would require either legislation or regulations, probably both, for a permanent solution. And we've all seen how long those things take. In the meantime, of course, this doesn't just affect our board, it affects a number of other DCA boards and probably other boards and entities in other departments. So at this point, I know that DCA is also looking into other possible, emergency legislation, trailer bill language, et cetera, with the rest of the boards that will be affected by that. But as I said, I think the first and foremost thing right away, we should be communicating with the department and asking them for at least a delay of implementation. And Madam Chair, I'd like to ask for a motion to do that. But I also have a rider to that motion that I also would suggest that the board delegate responsibility to the executive committee in order to be able to take faster action if we need to do so between now and the May meeting.
All right, Mr. Swenson, he's writing.
Of course he is.
Yes.
My recommendation is to handle that in two motions. The first motion would be to authorize and direct the executive officer to communicate with the Department of Education relating to the implementation of the federal Title IV regulations and mandatory curriculum hours provision, and in so doing to seek a delay of implementation of that as it relates to the curriculum hours for the vocational nurse program. That would be the first motion.
That's a long motion.
It's a long motion. Do I
Regulations.
have a motion?
Alita Carpenter makes that long motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Thank you. Do we do one motion?
Yes, please.
All right. So are there any questions by the board? Any public comments or comments on the virtual public?
This is the moderator, and at the direction of the board, I have opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment on this item, please click the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen, or use the raise hand function. And audio-only participants may raise their hand by pressing *3 on their device. And it looks like we do have a couple requests for public comments. I'm going to go in the order they were received. First, I have Kirk Blackburn. And Kirk, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak and a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
And here to briefly comment on the federal Title IV minimum hours of instruction rulemaking matter on behalf of Concord Career Colleges. So Concord offers vocational nursing programs at its 4 California campuses to around 1,000 students per year. These programs currently exceed the $1,530 minimum instructional hours requirement found in current law. So if an urgent resolution is not found, Concord and its VN students will no longer be eligible for Title IV funding. So just want to thank Executive Officer Yamaguchi and the board for the prompt attention to it, and stress how critical this matter is. Without your timely help, schools, students, and ultimately the health of the public will be negatively impacted. So thanks for all your hard work identifying potential solutions to avoid this catastrophe, and please keep impacted schools and students apprised on how we can continue to be of assistance in finding and adopting a timely solution. Thank you.
All right. This is the moderator. Our next individual has requested public comment. Susan Paylett. And Susan, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak and a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
President at American Career College. On behalf of the school, thank you so much for your attention to this critical issue. We urge you to take action that will allow programs flexibility and time to meet the new requirements and still have the quality oversight of the BVMPT. This new federal requirement does not allow for flexibility to make curriculum changes when needed. Without flexibility, schools may be forced to halt nursing programs and jeopardize the nursing pipeline. ACC is fortunate to work with an expert and dedicated NEC through this approval process. However, while we are confident that our LVN program can reduce hours and continue to have excellent student outcomes, we are very concerned that a one-size-fits-all hourly requirement is not in the best interest of students. Furthermore, the July 1st implementation date will likely prove too difficult for schools, accreditors, and the BVMPT to meet. Now, every program has different class sizes, cohorts, programmatic variances, and for these reasons, we urge the board to support a change in law as soon as possible that will provide schools and the BVMPT flexibility needed to adapt to the federal changes. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
And
my name is Janice Holt. I'm from Unitech College. And in agreeing with the sentiments of the other speakers, I just want to thank the board and the executive director for taking this matter, as urgently and seriously as it is. It will impact the success of our nursing students. It will impact their ability to enroll in programs and ultimately impact the healthcare workforce and the communities and populations that these students serve when they graduate. Last year, Unitech College, we had over 1,100 graduates pass the licensure exam. And so just imagine what a huge impact that would be if those nurses weren't out there. So we really appreciate you looking into this and working with the schools as we deal with this new regulation. Thank you.
This is the moderator. I have another request on WebEx from Anne Marie Kopikin. And Anne, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak and a 30-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
I've got a couple of comments, but the first one is that, I'm really surprised because it was
almost 2 years ago, and I think it was April 2022, when I spoke to the board about the equity issues with so many hours. And repeatedly, we have been told that you all are working on this and that, new regulations will be coming soon. Please be patient. So, 2 years of patience, and still now we're in an emergency situation. So the federal government is doing what, it is equitable, and saying that 1530 is, should be the maximum. Number two, you mentioned 24 applicants for new programs at the very beginning of this meeting. And so what I'm wondering is, for those 24 programs that are in the application process, they're applying with the 1530 minimum, but is there a way to make them applying for the 1530 maximum so that they don't need to reapply? Anyway, just something to consider when you are making these changes. And, thank you so much for looking into this and trying to make it, as fairly as possible for our students and for our programs. All right, thank you so much.
All right, this is the moderator. Appears there are no further requests on WebEx. Would you like me to close the Q&A panel?
Yes, thank you. Yes, please, and thank you so much, and thank you to all those people who commented, and certainly your comments are well noted. We can call for the vote. All right. I will now do a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman? Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Ms. Moore? Ms. Sansan?
Yes.
And I'm Carol Mountain. I also vote yes. It is carried unanimously. We will now move to the second part of this motion. Mr. Swenson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The recommended form for the second motion would be for the board to delegate to the executive committee consisting of the president and vice president the authority to take action upon any recommendations of the executive officer resulting from those communications with the Department of Education authorized in the previous motion.
Do I have a motion?
Abraham Hill, so moved.
Thank you. And a second?
I second.
Thank you. Is there any board discussion or questions about that?
Do we need to specify that the action will be ratified?
The board has the power to delegate the authority to take action in the situation. If the board does delegate that authority by passing this motion, then the executive committee will have to abide by the open meeting provisions of the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act, which ordinarily wouldn't happen as far as having notice and agenda posted.
Okay.
Then it can be returned to the full board at a later date, either just as a report of the action taken, or it could be submitted for ratification. And that would be at the discretion of the chair.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that clarification. Much appreciated. And in light of that, any board discussion or questions? All right. Can we please open it up for any public comment? And any public comment here, would you please come forward?
This is the moderator. At the direction of the board, I have opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public on WebEx, if you would like to make a comment on this item, please click the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen, or use the raise hand function. And audio-only participants can raise their hand by pressing *3 on their device. All right, and seeing no requests for public comment on WebEx, would you like me to close that Q&A feature?
Yes, please. Having no comments, we will now take a roll call and establish who's in favor, opposed, or abstains. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking?
Yes.
Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Ms. Moore? Ms. Sanson?
Yes.
And I'm Carol Mountain. I also vote yes. That motion is carried unanimously.
The last items, actually, the board committee assignments, our FBI audit regarding criminal offense record information and strategic planning. We actually discussed those at yesterday's training meeting. So at this point, I don't want to belabor the time of the board, but if there are any other questions, I'd be happy to respond. Okay, then that concludes my report, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. Agenda item 9B is the executive committee report, which was provided to you in your meeting resources packet. Are there any board discussions or questions? Seeing none, there's no motion, so we don't need to open to the public, correct? Yes. Thank you. Agenda item 10, licensing and evaluations report, recommendations and possible actions. Ms. Shelley Brown.
Actually, T Brown, I think, first on the agenda.
Oh.
There are two Browns.
Good morning. So the licensing division report is in your packet. Did anyone have any questions?
Confusing.
Right. That's all I have.
Looks like there's no questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would make a comment, though, that the division's been working very, very hard and very well, despite being dramatically understaffed right now. So thank you very much.
We echo that sentiment. Thank you very much. Agenda item 11, legislative and regulations report, recommendations, possible actions. Ms. Yamaguchi.
Oh, yeah. This is also me. Also, just a very, very brief update. As you know, the legislature has reconvened, and while January was spent mostly with the disposition of the 2-year bills, now, of course, the new bills are flocking in. Nothing so far has really flagged attention yet, but I do think that eventually, in the really near future, in the next few weeks, we'll probably see a few bills that we'll want to bring to the committee to look at. But of course, the big thing for us this year is obviously our sunset, which will, of course, take form of a bill, at least one bill probably, to move forward to reauthorize the board. But I'd be delighted to answer any questions and provide any kind of crystal ball gazing on what I think might be coming. And nobody's going to take me up on that, huh?
Thank you for that report.
We are actually, and I was going to defer to Mr. Ito to talk about our compliance.
Awesome. Thank you. My name is Mark Ito. I'm the Assistant Executive Officer for the board. I'll be providing the rulemaking update today in the absence of Christy Shields, our regulations legal counsel today. I will say that none of this would be possible without Christy. Her guidance and assistance in our rulemaking is immeasurable. And I think that our regulations unit at the department, with the changes they made in the past, have streamlined our rulemaking, and they've done a great job. I'd also like to thank Matt Nishimini for his work with the 399 document within the regulations. That's always kind of been a tough document to work through. And I think with him working as well, it's been streamlined. So the two regulation packages I'm going to go over today are the disciplinary guidelines and the certificate of compliance rulemaking packages. In the absence of having a staff member do regulations for the disciplinary guidelines, Antoinette Wood, our enforcement chief, did the heavy lifting on this package. So existing regulations requires the board to utilize the disciplinary guidelines to reach decisions on actions for the board. The DGs are incorporated by reference as a regulation. Therefore, any changes to the disciplinary guidelines requires a regulatory action. This package is currently under review with the director of DCA, and we expect to hear something back by February 29th. So that is the update on our disciplinary guidelines. So the other regulation package is our certificate of compliance. Assembly Bill 1536 was passed in 2021. This bill, it required the board to implement a new school approval process, among many other things. And it required adoption of emergency regulations by June 30th, 2022. So kind of a history of what's gone on is we did adopt emergency regulations on June 27th, 2022, and they were due to expire on June 28th, 2023. We readopted those emergency regulations on June 22nd, 2023, and they were due to expire on June 24th, 2024. In March of 2023, we noticed the reg package to make this rulemaking permanent. And then subsequent to that, on May 25th, 2023, we noticed it again with modified text. We made changes to the text. So we had to do a 15-day notice on that. And subsequent to that, I am pleased to say that on February 6, 2024, the package was approved by the Office of Administrative Law and is in regulations now. And that completes my report. Thank you. Any questions?
No, but thank you so much, Mr. Ito.
Oh, you're welcome.
Appreciate it. Anything further, Ms. Yamaguchi? All right, we will move on to agenda item 12, enforcement report recommendations and possible actions. Ms. Wood.
Good morning. My name is Antoinette Wood. I'm the Enforcement Division Chief. You do have my report. I would like to point out a few things in our report, specifically our areas of concern. It recently came to the attention of the Enforcement Division that multiple licensees have been licensed without an enforcement review. This includes 2 cases at the Attorney General's office, one of which has an open investigation with the Division of Investigations for Drug Diversion and another for drug use at work. Does anyone have any questions? Statistics, as you can see from our statistics, we are seeing a rise in incoming complaints. We are currently able to handle the increase, but may need to request additional staff in the future if complaints continue to rise. Are there any questions?
I just have a quick question. Seeing complaints rising, you guys have any speculation about why?
So some of it is from the FBI investigation, the Nightingale
Okay, that makes
investigations.
sense. Yeah.
Also because we are now getting our licensee renewal complaints weekly instead of at a point in time, we have seen those increase as well. And then we believe that there has been an increase in anonymous complaints. It does make it easier for the board if a complainant wishes to give us an email address. It does not have to be associated with their name, but it does make it easier for us to investigate. Sometimes we get complaints without a sufficient amount of information, and then people feel that we haven't thoroughly investigated the complaint because it didn't either have an appropriate name, a facility name, or it had a first and last that's common enough to where we can't track down who it was. So they'll keep putting those complaints in. It would be nice if we just got all the information, or at least had an email that we could go back and forth with to get more information as we needed it.
Thank you for the clarification. Makes a lot of sense. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Excuse me, this has arisen a couple of times. Is there some way we could put specifics on our website as to complaints must be accompanied by some means of contacting the person? Can we do that?
They're there.
So currently, when someone submits a complaint online, it does tell them that, we will make our best effort, but the more information you give us, the better off we are. Unfortunately, with like mail-in complaints, fax-in complaints, or if someone calls and leaves a message, we don't necessarily have a good way to get back in touch with them, unless they give us some kind of information, which we don't always get.
Makes a lot of sense.
Madam Chair, may I make a comment on that?
Please.
So if the board wish to impose a requirement that they provide that, it has to be in regulation. So the staff can't unilaterally put something like that on the website. And I'd imagine that it would be a very difficult regulation to craft and to get approved. But in order to require it, it'd have to be in regulation. Otherwise, if it just gets put on there, it'd be an underground regulation that could create some problems for the board.
Thank you.
That was very helpful. Thank you. Any other questions?
So for final, we are working on investing in our staff. A large part of BVMPT's work relies on our staff and management team's capabilities. As Leslie will discuss in her report, we are working to create a professional development opportunities for our staff, and we do hope that you support them. Did anyone have any questions?
Thank you so much for your report. Appreciate it. And it sounds like Ms. Moore is going to provide the report for Mr. Maxey, who's unable to be here. Is that correct? Thank you.
All right. Okay, the Enforcement Committee is excited to update the board on the recent work. Enforcement Committee, the report, the board's Enforcement Division is working with the Licensing Division to begin completing continuing education audits. The Enforcement Committee has requested that the next enforcement public service announcement cover the board's presidential decisions in order to help ensure that licensees and applicants and consumers are made aware of them. Educate enforcement training opportunities as part of the knowledge transfer plan. The Enforcement Division has been working to get new training opportunities for the division. We have worked with headquarters training divisions and are excited to announce that we will be having a staff member trained to become a Gallup Global Strength Coach to provide training to our staff. This unique training will coach our staff to form better teams, learn what they excel in, and how to use their unique strengths. The coach will be delivering strength finders, which the entire board management team is excited to implement. The cost will be approximately $7,000. We will be given updates as we progress towards implementation and share feedback after the training has been completed. The enforcement cost savings, as discussed at prior board meetings, the Enforcement Division has implemented several cost-saving measures. This includes changing the licensee applicant case review unit from staff service analyst to program technician 3, and turning the staff service manager 1 into special investigator and an associate governmental program analyst into an SI. The cost savings for the SSAs to PTs 3 will save an average of $6,500 per month. In addition, SIs have allowed the SIs unit to take back 123 cases since it cost approximately $220 per hour for the DOI to conduct the investigation. The board has saved approximately $645,700. The Enforcement Committee is committed to finding and implementing additional opportunities for cost savings.
Awesome.
Any questions?
No, that was a great report, though. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
There's a question.
Yes, Ms. Moore, you said that It'll cost $7,000. When you say it, is it the implementation of it or is it for something else?
Do you want me to answer that?
Yes.
Antoinette, do you want to take that or should I?
If you'd like.
There you go.
So it will be for the training for the coach, and then we will roll out implementation. That may cost a little more because we do have to purchase materials with it. But the initial training is approximately $7,000, and then we will be able to roll that out to the board. And we could also, if the board would like, include that in our next full board meeting at a physical location, and we could offer that training to the board as well.
Other questions? That was a great question. Okay, thank you so much. That was wonderful. So we are ready to move on to agenda item 13, public comment on items not on the agenda. Please note, the board may not discuss or take any action on any item raised during this public comment section, except to decide whether to place the matter on the agenda for a future meeting. We are now open for public comment.
This is the moderator, and for members on WebEx, I've opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment for items not on the agenda, please click the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen, or use the raise hand function. And audio-only participants may raise their hand by pressing *3 on their device. All right, and seeing no requests for public comment on WebEx, would you like me to close that Q&A feature?
I would. Thank you so much. We will move on to agenda item 14, suggestions for future agenda items. Anyone have suggestions for future agenda items?
Madam Chair, I'd like to speak.
Please.
I would like to request this opportunity to explore the creation of an ad hoc committee to not only look at how the board can raise the visibility and the California citizens' access to the service and supports of a psychiatric technician, but to also explore a name change, maybe something that's a little more descriptive of what a psychiatric technician actually does.
Duly noted. Thank you so much. All right. Any other? Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Hill. Agenda item 15, closed session. The board will now convene in closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 11126, subdivision A1, to deliberate and vote on disciplinary matters. Can I have a motion to retire to closed session and not reconvene to open session? The meeting will adjourn at the completion of closed session. I need a motion and then a second. Do I have a motion?
John Deerking will so move.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank
Alita
you.
Carpenter.
Any board discussion? Any public comment?
This is the moderator, and at the direction of the board, I've opened up the Q&A feature for public comment. Members of the public, if you would like to make a comment on this item, please click the Q&A icon located at the bottom right-hand corner of your WebEx screen, or use the raise hand function. And audio-only participants may raise their hand by pressing *3 on their device. All right, appears there are no requests for public comment from WebEx. Would you like me to close that Q&A feature?
Yes, please. All right. I will now take a vote. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Carpenter?
Yes.
Mr. Durking? Ms. Guzman?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Ms. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Sansan?
Yes.
I'm Carol Mountain. I also vote yes. That carries unanimously. This is adjournment of the open session, and it stands adjourned at 12:49. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. Oh, 11:49, my apologies. Thank you, everyone, for your participation, and board members will stay here for closed session.
Okay.